Howdy folks, Sapper here, aka Sean. Good morning to everybody, and this is turn 5 of main battle tank. We just conducted the fire phase, and there's going to be a little bit of bad news in this particular episode, so well, let's get to it, I guess. So the Americans won the initiative, and of course they chose to fire first, which can't blame them. I definitely agree with that idea. Let's get as many targets off the battlefield as we possibly can. So we've got Piranha down here. He managed to get around some blocking terrain, at least from this tank here. This tank can't hit him, so that's part of the reason he did that. So he decided to line up a shot. There's two T-80s right here. Short range. Fired, and it was a miss. He had a 70% chance to hit and rolled a 73. So I don't know, is that a jack roll or not? I mean, it's pretty close. We could probably call that a jack roll. So yeah, he had a really good chance to hit, and well, yeah, he missed it. Moving up to here. Yeah, spoiler alert. You can see that. That's definitely not good. Alright, so anyway, Tiger, Shark, and Wolf were alive. But when it became their turn, it didn't end so good. So Tiger, Shark, there's three T-80s right here. So Tiger Shark shoots at one, point blank, gets a hit, but because it's a rising shot, it ended up not doing anything. And I do have a tutorial that's going to be in here about how combat works. But so you can see the penetration value at point blank range is 108 for the main gun of a T-80. Or excuse me, let me change that around. So it's 110 because the M1 was firing. So it's 110. At point blank range, you can penetrate 110. The hull armor of a T-80 against kinetic energy rounds, which is what that is, kinetic energy. So hull front is 85. So if the penetration is higher than the armor value, then it penetrates and does damage. If it's lower, then nothing happens. It's like, you get your bulletproof vest on and nothing happens. However, because those T-80s are in a higher elevation than the M1s, we have to look at the rising column. So it was a rising shot. So if we go over here to hull front, if I'm shooting up at a T-80, their hull front armor is 119. So penetration value is 110, which is less than that, so it's a hit, but it doesn't do anything. So that's basically what happened up here with both Tiger, Shark, and Wolf. They got hits because it's almost impossible to miss. Almost impossible to miss at this range. They were both hits, but because they are rising shots where you're shooting at the thickest armor on the tank, nothing happened. Rubber Chicken, Adam, alright, he did the same exact thing. He had a point blank shot, hit, but because it's a rising shot, there was nothing that we could do. Alright, the 105 on the M1 just doesn't have the penetration value good enough to take out a T-80 at a rising shot. Had it been a level shot or a falling shot, those T-80s would be done for. They'd have been destroyed. So in turn, when it came to be the Russians' turn, that's exactly what happened. It worked to their advantage. So they fired back at both Tiger, Shark, and Wolf, and because it was a falling shot, so again, the penetration value at point blank range is 108. And we look at the hull front armor is, well, I think it was that they were turret hits. Doesn't really matter. The armor value for an M1 is 104 on a falling shot. So the armor just wasn't strong enough to save them. So that's why Wolf and Tiger Shark are no longer with us. They'll receive posthumous Purple Hearts and Bronze Stars for their action, mailed promptly to their surviving next of kin, which is either going to be their spouse or their mom. Good job, guys. All right, so moving right along. Nobody was assigned here. This was, I believe this was 216. This was the headquarters Bradley. I don't think anybody was assigned to that. But they fired at this BMP, short range, and it missed. Let me see what else we got here. We got Eagle. Eagle also fired at this BMP, short range, 84% chance to hit, rolled an 86, so that was a miss. And then we've got Raptor up here. All right, he fired at this T80 right here, short range, got a track hit. So basically that T80 is still alive, but it can no longer move. The track has been blown up, so it's in essence it's now a bunker, but it can still fire back. So yeah, the Americans, I mean, we did a lot of hitting, but unfortunately we didn't do enough, killing. So Russians' turn. We have 3 BMPs up here. There was a lot of small arms fire trying to hit this infantry guy. This dismount squad that belongs to Dog, I believe. So they traded some bullets back and forth, but there was just a little bit of suppression. Nobody was killed. This BMP up here, well, there's a stack of 3 of BMPs. One of them fired down at the headquarters Bradley 216. Had a 14% chance to hit and rolled a 12, right? So it's the old adage, you miss 100% of the shots you never take. 14% chance. I was like, you know what, there's no possible way to hit, but let me roll it. And he rolled a 12 and blew up that Bradley right there. This BMP here decided to fire at Rubber Chicken, and it was a miss. He's in a good spot right here. He is in the woods, which is cover, plus he is hull down. So he's definitely in a good spot. I don't know how much longer it's going to stay a good spot, because now that Wolf and Tiger Shark are cleared out, these guys are just they're gonna rush in right here. Grizz was safe because of the way the elevation and the line of sight works. He's hiding here at like the edge of this hill area right here, and it creates kind of like a blind spot. The line of sight rules in this game they kind of confuse me a little bit, but after reading and looking at some posts on Consim World and BGG, I was able to kind of figure it out. And he's in a blind spot because they're up on elevation, so that's why Grizz survived another turn. But we'll kind of see how things go from here on out, now that we've got half of our heavy hitters are gone. I still have to conduct some fire with those are artillery pieces. There's a stack of 3 of them. I'm just going to throw some smoke up in this area right here, but I'll do that once I've erased all the lines. But there you have it, fire. Alright folks, just conducted the move segment, and then we will most likely be able to move on into turn 6. So the Russians got to move first, so they've definitely got the advantage now, so they're going to push. Got the T80 that push forward here. So Piranha, you're not out of the woods. Grizz, you're definitely not out of the woods. Got the T80s that push forward here and here. So again, we've got basically overlapping fields of fire in this direction. So I don't know, and that's your ass right there, Grizz. Literally, your ass is towards the enemy. The turret is spun around to face the bad guys, but they're going to shoot you in the ass, or they're going to attempt to shoot you in the ass. Headquarters tank moved to here. Okay, these artillery guns stayed right there. They couldn't move anyway because they had fired. They did lay smoke up here to interfere with Eagle and Raptor. So our ground radar moved up to here. See those T-80s, they were right there. They moved up to here. So rubber chicken, I don't know, man. That hull down spot that you got in the woods is nice real estate, but it ain't gonna be nice for much longer, man. You get some bad elements moving into the neighborhood. You're gonna have some tough decisions to make. Not too much went on up here just because there was a lot of shooting. So if you shoot, you generally can't move unless you do a combined command. But our infantry pushed forward. The BTRs pushed forward as well, which forced Dog to pull back one. He moved in reverse, so when you move in reverse, you move a lot slower. Nightcrawler picked up his dismount and moved back. This is Dog's dismount. He was able to move back one. He is suppressed, so it affects your movement rate. And you got all these guys right here. They pretty much stayed in place. So it's not looking good. The Russians are pushing in and pushing these guys that way, pushing these guys that way. Eventually going to push these guys that way, if not kill them all. So we'll see what happens. It's looking grim, guys. Looking grim.